Jaxton's story really started in January of 2010. Lisa and I had talked and decided we wanted to have another kid because we'd always wanted a big family.
We found out that it's a boy, and we were very excited about that Jake was gonna have a little brother. And while we were sitting there looking at the images, Josh notices that something doesn't quite look right. We asked her if she knew what it was, and she said that she didn't know and that we should make an appointment to see our doctor. It turns out that he had Trisomy 18 full, which means that every single one of his cells in his DNA had a triple 18. Those first 3 weeks were the hardest 3 weeks of my life. So February 23rd at 4 o'clock, he was planned on coming, C-section.
I could just remember standing in there with a couple of people and having no clue what we're about to get into.
And I'm just looking at you and I'm thinking that this is gonna be okay. We finally get to meet him and we're right here. Like, this is it. This is what we've been waiting for.
So I heard time of birth 7:35, but I hadn't heard a cry. And so I got really nervous and I said, "Has he been born?" And they said, "Yeah, he's been born. They have him over on the table trying to resuscitate him right now because he wasn't breathing."
All of our senses were just on alarm, and we were just waiting for one of those times for them to say, yeah, this is it. Every day we would celebrate his birth.
Jaxton, happy birthday.
Yeah. We had seen all these positive things happen. He was doing much better. And then we ran these 2 tests to try and get him off the ventilator, and he reacted terribly to those tests. His levels are just plummeting. They took the tube out, but he never breathed.
I got to see his face for the first time. I wasn't prepared for him to be so beautiful. It was very peaceful. We were praying over him and looking at him and kissing him, and I remember even holding him and looking at him, and my hands were on his heart so I could feel his heartbeat, and it was getting slower and slower. And then at 8:05, they finally told us that he had passed.
Definitely could never imagine going through something like this and not having a relationship with God and people that God is using on a daily basis in our lives. That was the thing that got us through the lowest of the lows. She started this blog as therapy, and at one point she started having thousands of people log on and reading Jaxton's story well before his birth. And when he was finally born, then hundreds of thousands of people were getting on.
His life did have purpose, and he affected so many lives, and he has saved lives.
And the amount of impact that human beings can have on each other and to make a difference is very real. God could use a 2-week-old kid with trisomy 18 that has no chance of survival and is incompatible with life to do things that most of us would only dream of, to have that kind of impact in the world.
He didn't say a word. He didn't say I love you. He hadn't smiled yet. He was just there letting God use his life.